What is up, guys? Teddy Cornwell here. Welcome to the Underdog Talk, the world's most underrated podcast on earth. And today we have the big fella, the man they call the king of walk-offs. You heard that right? The king of walk-offs, Mr. Mark Hunt. How you doing today, sir?
Yo, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Sorry about the situation. I'm just about to. Sorry, I've been a bit late, but I'm just about to drive out of here, and then you'll have a better view. So, oh shit. Okay, you still there? Can you see me? Yeah.
Hey, we're recording. We're on the podcast, and this is a real live podcast, I guess.
Yep. Well, we're on our way, so it'll be a bit late now because I was in the underground car park.
And Mark, I actually just got finished watching one of your fights. Can you guess which fight I finished watching?
It's probably, if it's a UFC fight, it'll be probably most likely the Bigfoot fight. Everyone watches the first one.
That one was epic. That was probably one of my favorites. No, I was actually watching the Frank Mir fight, and unfortunately, we have his autograph right there. We need to get that out of here because you beat his ass. And that was probably one of my favorite fights you did. Now, obviously, you've had so many kind of memorable fights in your career. Would you say the Frank Mir or the Bigfoot, fight was one of your most memorable fights?
Mind you, they were all pretty good fights, to be honest. I mean, the one where Frank Mir was marred because of the steroids.
Yep.
Likewise, with the Bigfoot fight. A lot of the fights that I've had against these shortcut takers were kind of ruined because of the fact they were cheating. To be honest, so yeah.
And the Lesnar fight as well, right?
Yeah, correct.
So did Dana or the UFC ever kind of come to you after that and give you an explanation, or was it, hey, we're just going to give you for the Brock? Obviously, it was a no contest. Did you think that was a fair ruling?
Well, at the time, I thought it was a fair ruling because, I had no clue that that he was on steroids. I mean, they gave him all these exemptions before that, and I thought that was unfair to start with. They didn't weigh him in. He didn't have a public weigh-in also, which I thought was very unfair. But Dana gave me his word. They gave me, they gave me their word that they were, that they were doing all they could to, to not allow this guy to cheat. But the thing was, I'm like, well, I did ask him multiple times. I was like, why did you give this guy an exemption for? If I didn't understand that. To be honest with you, and he didn't afterwards. I mean, all he said to me afterwards was, it's up to USADA to for this issue. And I'm thinking to myself, well, now I know why, because now after through discovery and everything, it's clear the reason why is because they all knew that he was on steroids, and they were all in collusion together.
So you're saying that Dana White didn't know that Brock Lesnar was on steroids in that fight?
What's that?
You're saying that Dana did it. Dana and the UFC did know that Brock Lesnar was using steroids for that fight.
Dana White knew, the Las Vegas Commission knew, USADA knew, Jeff Davinsky knew. They all knew. They all knew that he was on the gear, and they all colluded against me. They all did.
Do you think steroids is still prevalent in the UFC? Is it still something that's, there?
Mate, they've got a Hall of Fame, which should be called the Hall of Shame, where they've got like dopers, steroid users that are in that fucking Hall of Fame. I mean, why have a Hall of Fame when you've been called doping? I don't understand that. Of course it's prevalent. They still, what rules and laws have they got put in place to enforce their policy? They've got nothing. Ever since I was in there, what they did to me was disgusting. And even now they've got some idiot named Jeff Davinsky who was a freaking liar and part of this collusion also, giving out jackets for 50 tests clean. Like, why the fuck give out 50 tests a jacket for being clean? I mean, Chucks, that should be part of your contract. That is part of your contract. So why are they saying to these guys, oh, here's a jacket for being clean? Fuck, it's the stupidest thing. I just don't understand this.
Oh, I agree. And Mark, do you see the UFC going in the right way, I guess, or do you see it kind of going downhill?
But they're not going the right way. They've got their business practices, made by a fucking criminal, whose name is Dana White, and he's talking. People talk about like that guy like he's a proper businessman, but all his business practices is bullying, coercion, colluding, aiding and abetting, fraud, all of these things are not what a proper businessman does. Is what a criminal does, and that's what he is, and that's where he's going. He's going to jail. So unless they make their changes, which they're not going to do, to their business model, then they're going to continue to get these lawsuits coming to them. Continue. There's not a way in the world that they're going to be able to continue as a company if they're going to continue these business practices. 14% of the revenue? No, my friend.
And what changes do you think could be made, obviously, if they were to make this in the UFC?
Well, that's the reason why they're in all these lawsuits. That's the reason why they're in a lot of trouble. That's the reason why White's going to jail, Jeff DaVinci's going to jail, Hunter Campbell, because their business practices are unruly. They're just criminals. That's what criminals do, and that's what they did to me. They've got, my lawsuit is against steroids. It's a RICO contravention, a civil RICO. But what comes after a civil RICO is a criminal RICO. And my case is evidenced. It's all evidence. So, these people, they know, these people that are part of this, they know that the trouble's coming their way, and it's going to be in the form of a RICO lawsuit. It's already there. It's coming for them. We're just waiting for the judges to give the orders. That is one of the reasons why I feel that Judge Bolloway hasn't given his reasoning why he's made a ruling against the antitrust lawsuit against Rob Macy, because those motherfuckers are just trying to scam, using the fighters as the vehicle. They're trying to say, oh, we're going to make changes for these fighters. We're going to help these fighters. We're going to give them compensation. But when Judge Bolloway says to them, 800 million is the minimum, and 1.6 is the maximum, and these fucking cocksuckers come back with the UFC lawyers, and they sat and they said, look, we made an agreement, $330 million. What the fuck do you mean $330 million? And the lawyers are getting 120 million? Get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? The judge has told you $800 million, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yet your greedy little ass was to come back and say, oh, nah, we made a deal with the UFC lawyers. So the judge questioned them. And the reason why he knows 100% is that they had a monopsony going is because of my lawsuit. Because he's seen the RICO contraventions, the charges these guys have seen. So there's no way he should rule on the case like their case, knowing my one hasn't been ruled on and set the precedence. There's no way. Because that puts him part of this RICO as well.
Yeah. And have you been able to talk to Dana since this, or has it been just, through?
Look, man, throughout the years, nearly a decade, not one of them, not one of them from the Las Vegas Commission, Mark Ratner, USADA, UFC, Zuffa, Jeff DaVinci, ain't none of them, Dana White, none of them come to me and said, look, Mark, I am sorry. Maybe if they said this years and years ago, I would have considered this. But, not one of them have come and said to me, I'm sorry for what we did to you. And the reason why is because they're continuing their lie. They're continuing this damages that they've done to me. The continuation from March 2017 till this date right now is the damages they continue to do, the lies they continue to do. All the breaches of contract, everything they've done, they're continuing to try and defraud me, thinking they're going to get away with it. They're not going to get away with anything. They're done.
Do you think other UFC fighters are currently, facing the same issue that you're going through?
No. This is the only time. This case is this is the only time. Any other reason why? Because the UFC, every time they've done something wrong, they change their policies. They change the way they do it, so they can never get caught. The reason that this case is never going to happen again is because look what happened when they did this to me. They got a lawsuit like my lawsuit, which is going to not only change combat sport but change all contact sport. Let me repeat that. It doesn't just change combat sport in general. It changes all contact sport. The precedence this sets the standard.
Wow, that is very big, and I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
It's huge because, and you know what's funny though, is that all the media don't speak on it. They don't speak it. They try to push me out like I was some sort of fucking leper. You know, the guy that's trying to do the right thing, speak up for everyone else, gets shit on.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be.
And that's the problem here. And that shouldn't be the case. They put these fucking cheaters in this Hall of Fame saying, oh, John Jones is the GOAT, they got this rubbish. But yet they try to ostracize me. The oldest guy that was in there, and the only one to ever fucking grow some balls, to have some balls and do anything about it. The only guy in history. And none of these cowards talking about, oh, I'm a fucking fighter. Yeah, right, buddy. The only one to speak up here was me. The only one to take on this lawsuit was me. No one else. None of these motherfuckers, because they're all coward, gutless. They got, you look at their back, there's no fucking spine there. Spineless motherfuckers.
Wow. And is that the reason you decided to obviously leave the UFC, Mark?
Well, the reason I left because I finished my contract. I finished the moment I filed that lawsuit. My career was over. My love for the sport was over. They ostracized me in their company. They try to, you know, even now they try to damage me and everything. Even to this day, like all these years, it's all damages, all of it. Doesn't matter when it says it's all evidence. This whole case is proven.
Wow.
And that's what makes it. That's what makes me laugh.
And I think, you know, I hope our platform helps get what you're saying out there, because I think that is really meaningful. And obviously, kind of looking at the positive, you're not done combat sports yet because you're going into bare knuckle boxing, right?
No, actually, I was going to go into bare knuckle boxing because I had to pay for this lawsuit. But I filed to the Ninth Circus for, I think it's called pauperous, so I didn't have to pay because of my financial situation. Because these motherfuckers put me in this situation. They put me in a lawsuit against those guys because they've got billions of dollars and they think they're untouchable. But the thing they didn't have, what they don't have, is the truth. Is doing the right thing is what they don't have. When you're a lying, cheating motherfucker, and you try to use lawyers and money to cover it, it doesn't work. Because what you don't have in your side is the truth, and you don't have God on your side. That is exactly what's happened here. We're going that way.
We're going straight. So.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, kind of taking it back, you know, in a positive manner, why did you fall in love with fighting, Mark? What brought you to the sport of fighting?
Well, combat sports saved my life as a kid. You know, I grew up on the other side of the tracks. I didn't have a good start in life. You know, I was always fighting to be equal there with everyone else. I was always fighting to be heard. My parents didn't, you know, I had a pretty rough start in life. Let's put it that way. I was in jail at 15 years old for the first time. Things just weren't going my way. I was on the back foot. But fighting came along, and it was like an equalizer. It was an equalizer for me in school when all the kids were making fun of me. It was an equalizer for me when I could pay things. So fighting came along at the right time when I thought, you know, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was on the bad path, doing bad things like stupid kids doing, like mugging people, doing robberies, home invasions, all these sort of things. And fighting came along and said, you know what? God said, you know, the Almighty, God said to me, Mark Hunt, come with me, boy. I'm going to take your life and we're going to turn you into someone. And he used me, and he used fighting. He said, fighting is what you're going to do. A life of affliction is fighting, and that's what I did. That's what a prize fighter is a life of affliction, fighting.
Now, obviously, your first kind of major stint in combat sports was kickboxing. Why pick kickboxing as your first kind of intro into combat sports, Mark?
Well, like I said, I didn't pick kickboxing. Kickboxing picked me. Fighting chose me. I was at a nightclub. Got into an altercation outside a nightclub, and then in that same very nightclub, probably 7 days later, I had my first Muay Thai fight.
And the legend is, or the tale is, you fought multiple people outside of that club. How many people did you fight outside of that club that day?
It doesn't matter. That was just one of the weekends we were going out. It didn't matter about how many people it was. It was a matter that I met my first coach. He saved me from being arrested by the police. And, that very same nightclub, I was in there scrapping, what I'll do for the next 30-something odd years for my life. So when people say to me, fighting, I was born to fight, that is what God put me to do, is fighting.
And would you say this is kind of the motivation that keeps you going? And, during those tough times, you remember that and it keeps you going. Just remember where you started and, where you are now.
Well, I mean, my life before prize fighting had a life of affliction, a life of all that. And there was nothing else I could have done apart from being a murderer or going to jail or something like that. It was either, become one of the top end prize fighters or, become a serial killer or something like that. That's I'm not fucking shitting you. That's exactly where I was going with the kind of lifestyle. My surroundings, they say your surroundings bring you up, but you have a choice whether you can go left or right. And once you realize that you're going the wrong way, you've got to make the right choice to go the other way. So you can be, am I going right?
Don't just ignore that. We'll go straight ahead and then left after that, please.
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah.
And now, kind of piggybacking on that, how important is mental toughness in fighting, and how does one develop that?
Well, it wasn't hard for me because I just explained to you, my childhood was a battle. My dad was good at mental warfare, and he was beating the fuck out of us all the time. I mean, you don't realize until you can take yourself as a kid somewhere else in an instant when you're getting hurt. You know what I mean? So when you're say for instance, when your dad's using those old washing machines that have those big hoses on them, when he's whacking you with those sort of things or some broom handle on the same parts of your body, even after they're bruised, the continuation of that, you have to build up, your mind builds up like a callus. It builds up a strength to overcome everything. And for me, blocking that out and moving to a different part of the world or, a different part of space or time, just not being there in that instant when I'm getting hurt is something I was good at. And that's probably the reason why I had to, I have to do a lot of counseling because of all the mental issues I've got because of my parents or because of my early days as a youth. I shouldn't laugh about it, but like I said, I laugh about things because if I don't laugh about it, and I'd rather just hurt somebody or hurt something or dump, it just makes me crazy.
Wow. And obviously, you are such an inspiration for so many, not just because of your fighting career, but what you went through, and so many people look up to you. What advice would you give to young fighters aspiring to make a name for themselves in combat sports, Mark?
I mean, a lot of people have asked. People come up to me, can you train me? I've had like 1,000 street fights and blah blah blah. I mean, a fighter's life is rubbish. I mean, why would you want to be a prize fighter for your life? If you cannot sit at the top table of prize fighting, you cannot live. I mean, you cannot eat properly. And if you're a guy, when you start this journey, you start by yourself. But as you go along the path of life as a prize fighter, you get a girlfriend, which becomes your wife. You get kids. You get dependents that depend on you to make their good earn. And if you cannot sit at the top end of fighting and eat properly, And when I came through, it was so hard to sit at that top table, you know. You shouldn't be able to do it. You shouldn't even want to do it. Find something else to do. I mean, there's so many more other things in life that you could do that doesn't have so many moving parts. You know, you got to be likable. You got to be, first and foremost, you got to be a great fucking fighter.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to have a bit of charisma. You got to have people to like you. You know, you've got to fucking kick some fucker's ass, and you got to be having the willingness to go and die in that ring and that octagon. If you ain't prepared to die for what you believe in, then what's the point of doing it? Forget about it.
And wow, man, that just hits deep, and I hear everything you're saying. Now, are there any fighters that you think are doing well in the UFC, or any fighters you're watching, Mark?
Man, I didn't even watch UFC, and it's like I said, the thing about this, I have a lot of people I used to come up with, I train with, that have helped me, that put them in their life. There's not many fighters. The only successful UFC fighter ever has been Conor McGregor, financially. That's probably because he moved over to do the boxing fight with Mayweather. I mean, right now, the UFC fighters, like I said before, that title is a joke. Their policies and everything is a joke. They're getting ticked on from the front end to the back end. So when people say they got signed with UFC, people that don't understand or don't know think, oh, that's great, you're doing well. But the guys that do, like me, they just sit there and they have a little laugh and go, oh, you know what, that's another one. Now you have to wait for us to try and make change. Now you have to wait for us, because you don't make changes in their policies, and they're not going to make changes in their policies, because why should they make changes when they're making shitloads of money by screwing over all these fighters? Why should they change anything? Why should they change their business model? Even though it's a slavery contract that they're driving, even though it's slavery is what I feel they're driving. Their contracts are slavery contracts. Coercion, my friend. Coercion is what these contracts are about.
Yeah. Wow. And I just thought of something off the top of my head, and this has nothing to do with what you just said, but what was the transition like from kickboxing to MMA? Was that difficult at all, Mark?
It was very difficult. It was understanding, because it was actually going back to the grassroots of street fighting, but not unless you understood. Like I didn't learn. I learned how to fight in the gym, but surviving is what I knew already how to do.
Yeah.
So learning about the ground game and doing the ground game stuff, that was kind of on a different length, but learning the whole thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And kind of finally ending this podcast, is there any particular moment or person in your career that has been, inspiring or influential, Mark?
Well, I mean, all the people like I said, I looked up to Bruce Lee, Mike Tyson. I mean, I pretty much surpassed all the people that I was looking up to be doing anything with fighting. And you gonna fucking move, you fucking dumbass, stupid cunt. Sorry, bitch wouldn't let me in. I should have run the cunt over. Yeah, I mean, I surpassed pretty much everyone, especially like when I look at things, fighting doesn't make sense right now because of these lawsuits.
Yeah.
For me, chasing the title was everything while I was chasing the title. But then actually, when your eyes get open, when you get up there and you see what's actually at stake here, what you actually realize what's going on, you go, wow. When you get woken up and you're like, okay, this is not about who the best fighter in the world is. It's about trying to make equality, trying to have an even playing field.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. It's about, are these guys a good company to work for? And the answer at that time, even now, is no. That is not. No, they're not a good company to work for. No, they don't look after you. No, why should I give you my fucking blood or sweat or anything? No, is the answer you'll get from me. That is why this lawsuit is going on the way it is. And the reason it's taking so long is because for 7.5 years, my lawyer, Christina Denning, was paid off. I don't know how much Dana White and Hunter Campbell paid her, But I think maybe, you know, to send it to you know, to lose your license as a lawyer, you know, for the rest of your life, what did they pay her? $10 million? 20? What does a lawyer make in a lifetime? $20 million?
Wow.
So they paid her off. But for 7.5 years, that bitch lied to me, the fucking slag. Should have jump kicked that fucker's face right out of fucking the window. Fucking prostitute.
Wow.
But anyway, that is why it's taking so long. And the next lawyer I had was a fucking greedy fucking Jew. And I don't say that by making fun of Jews. I just say that because that cunt, I said, when I gave him $15,000 to start with to do the appeal, he filed the appeal in 2 days it was approved. What got me was when on the day of mediation, when you were supposed to settle this, that cocksucker goes, I want my $20,000. I was like, bro, can you do the mediation and then I'll pay you after? And then he said to me, that little cheeky cunt, you know, Mark, the letter, the mail, the check is in the mailbox. It doesn't work with me. And I said, you little fucking cocksucker. I said, I fucking tied that cunt up to my fucking car and run him over, pulled his ass along the freeway here until he's got no skin. Cunt.
Wow.
That guy's got no fucking heart, and that really fucked me up. So he left me in a situation where, you know, the first set of lawyers fucking bullshitted me and family will have a future for 7.5 years, 8 years. The next one was just a money-hungry little cunt, and I ended up leaving me without any lawyers. So the Ninth Circuit said to me, Mr. Hunt, you're going to be a pro se litigant. Do you know what a pro se litigant is?
No.
Do you? So I actually became the lawyer. They made me a pro se litigator.
Wow.
And that's how, yeah.
Now, you know, before we end the podcast, you know, where can we find your content? Is there anything you want to plug?
You sound a bit quiet after hearing all this.
Yeah, I mean,
now, if you want the ultimate,
I think it's definitely an interesting thing, and I think everyone should be able to hear it.
you want the ultimate underdog story, you've got one right now.
I do.
Talking about a pro se litigator, who, you know, he's taking on a billion-dollar empire, who's actually given them a hiding.
Wow.
Giving them a hiding in the fucking law courts, and now we're just waiting for the judges to make orders to change contact sport history. Not just combat sport, contact sport.
Wow. No, that's truly.
This lawsuit, this RICO lawsuit, sets the precedence that everyone will use. So every fighter can sue these motherfuckers. If they've got some motherfucker with that shortcut ticket that's cheating, they can sue them. 20 years that USADA has been in the pocket of UFC. Every time. And the reason I feel that they'd split paths is because the UFC tried to force Conor McGregor back in there. And that little cocksucker, Carl, I think his name is, who was the boss of USADA, said, oh, we can't do it. Well, motherfucker, why can't you do it? You did it for Brock Lesnar. You did it then. Why can't you do it now? Oh, it's because you got a fucking lawsuit on your ass. Ah, that's right. And it doesn't matter, like I said to the other guy, whether you took a little bit of the pie or a big bit of the pie. You still bit the fucking pie.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. Wow. And it's definitely.
So when I'm done suing these motherfuckers, those motherfuckers are gonna get it too. They're all getting it. And no one getting away here.
Wow. Well, you know, everyone make sure to check out Mark's content and definitely tune in and show your support for Mark on this. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And until next time, guys.
I don't need your like and support. You know, I've had to go through the law courts to go and force an issue upon these people. The media might shun me like a leper, but if law is not coming, justice will not be served.
Agreed. Wow. Well, Mark.
So unless we all want to live in an unlawful society, a lawless society, then let's not forget about the fucking laws. Let's just fucking go and kill everyone. Why don't we just live like that? If you want something, go and take it. Why? Oh, well, you can't go and take this car here because you can't go and take that house or that billions of dollars because there's fucking laws in place, motherfucker. Anyway. sorry, I've just been rambling. This whole lawsuit issue has been a big part of my life for the longest, to be honest. And it's taken a financial toll on me and my family mentally. But I speak to you very clearly. I can see you can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, we definitely understand what you're saying here, and we would, anything, hopefully this ends in your favor, Mark, and yeah, Mark, thank
Well,
you.
look, man, I don't have to say hopefully, because like I said, my case is evidenced. It's a civil RICO case, which is an approved civil RICO case, which is evidenced. So everything I said to you is evidence. Everything I've said to you has got not just my story, but it's backed by evidence. So yeah.
Well, Mark, I appreciate you taking your time to hop on the podcast, and
Yeah.
you have an excellent day, sir, and thank you very much for
All
sharing.
right. Take it easy, bro. Thanks for your time.
All right. Yep. Bye.